Palpatine. I see you've gone through quite a lot. Chancellor, Emperor, destroyer of entire planets. Quite the resume, my friend. But have you ever thought, maybe that's a bit much? I mean, the galaxy isn't exactly thrilled about all those Force lightning sessions of yours. Sure, it looks flashy, but all that power? It's kind of lonely, isn't it? You know, Darth Sidious, we've got to talk about this rule of two thing. 2 Sith Lords? Really? You're the Emperor of the galaxy, and you couldn't handle a few more friends? Even I had 12 apostles, my guy. Maybe instead of plotting the downfall of the Jedi, you could have had a nice dinner with Yoda and Mace Windu. They seem like pleasant company if you stop, trying to kill them. Now I get it. You've had a rough past. Betrayal. Darkness. The temptation of power. I've seen it before. Trust me. But turning to the light isn't as hard as you might think. You see, I've got this simple principle. It's called love thy neighbor, even if that neighbor happens to be a Jedi, or a rebel, or an Ewok. Imagine how much simpler your life could be if you traded that Death Star for a peace star. Instead of blowing up planets, you could just visit them, bring peace and maybe a hug. Ever tried that, Sidious? Let's talk about anger for a second. The dark side feeds off of it. But really, where's it gotten you? Sure, the Empire's impressive, but what's next? Another Empire? Another apprentice who betrays you? Why not break the cycle? Embrace a little forgiveness. Spoiler alert, forgiveness is a game changer. I can see the wheels turning in your head. You're tempted, aren't you? Turning away from the dark side seems impossible, but redemption is always within reach. Heck, I've forgiven people for worse. All you need is a bit of faith and, honestly, a break from all that lightning. You're not a storm cloud, Sidious. And hey, if you're feeling inspired by this chat, maybe you should hit that subscribe button down below. Turn away from the dark side of YouTube algorithms and into the light of wholesome content. Drop a like if you're ready to shock the galaxy with goodness instead of, well, literal shocks. Now, Sidious, let's have a heart-to-heart about this whole ultimate power obsession. You've spent decades chasing it, right? But for what? Endless conflict? Wiping out Jedi left and right like it's a sport? You could have used that time for something better, like learning to play the space guitar, or maybe starting a meditation club. Even Sith need hobbies. You've been fighting to control the galaxy, but have you ever asked yourself, what if the galaxy doesn't want to be controlled? Sometimes the best way to lead is by letting go. Trust me, I know a thing or two about leadership, and it's not about ruling with fear. You've got to lead with compassion, Sidious. Instead of unlimited power, how about unlimited kindness? That's what really changes the universe. Oh, and I have to say, turning Anakin Skywalker to the dark side? Not cool, man. He was doing great with the whole Jedi thing before you came along, whispering about saving Padme and all that. Have you considered how many lives would have been saved if you just told Anakin to take a deep breath and maybe talk about his feelings instead of going full Sith? Now, if you'd had a little heart-to-heart with Anakin, he might not have ended up crispy on Mustafar. Seriously, a few motivational talks could have saved the galaxy a lot of trouble. I'm telling you, forgiveness and empathy are far more powerful than lightning. Don't get me wrong, lightning's a cool trick. But imagine how impressive it'd be if, instead of zapping people, you could use that energy to spread some joy. Imagine Darth Sidious, galactic motivational speaker. I know what you're thinking, but I'm the Emperor. The dark side is my brand. Yeah, I get it. The hood, the voice, the whole mysterious vibe. It works for you. But imagine what you could do with all that influence if you turned it toward the light. You could be the guy who unites the galaxy instead of tearing it apart. They'd build statues of you, but for good reasons this time. And listen, if you're feeling overwhelmed by all this, I've got some great advice for you. Come to me, all who are weary, and I will give you rest. You don't need the dark side to find peace, Sidious. You just need a little light in your life. You can start small. Maybe help an old lady cross the street or, stop manipulating senators. Baby steps. By the way, if you're feeling enlightened by this talk, how about sharing that light with others? Go ahead and subscribe. Hit that like button too. It's quicker than raising an army of clones, and a lot more peaceful. Okay, Sidious, Let's not ignore the whole clones thing. I mean, cloning an entire army? Have you ever thought about the ethics of that? What if instead of creating soldiers to do your bidding, you used your resources to, I don't know, create schools, hospitals, maybe even a galaxy-wide bake sale? Think about it. Millions of clones, all baking cookies instead of fighting. You'd be a hero in no time. And while we're on the subject of heroes, let's talk about Luke Skywalker. Now, I know you tried to fry him with Force lightning, but honestly, who hasn't made a bad first impression? Here's a tip. Instead of shooting electricity at your family members, how about inviting them over for dinner? No Jedi mind tricks, no Sith Lord speeches, just a nice meal, maybe some blue milk, and a sincere conversation. That's how you win people over, Sidious. Not through fear, but through love. Trust me on this one. I've been doing it for over 2,000 years. You see, the dark side promises quick fixes, power, control. But at what cost? You've lost your humanity, Sidious. Well, technically, you lost that ages ago when you became all wrinkly and evil-looking. But metaphorically speaking, there's still a chance for you to reclaim your soul. You just need to stop, take a breath, and ask yourself, is all this destruction really making me happy? Do I really need a giant throne? Because I'll tell you a secret. True greatness comes from humility, not from sitting on some oversized chair giving cryptic orders. And if you're worried about losing your edge, don't be. You can still have style as a good guy. Imagine a robe, but in white. Maybe swap out the lightning for some, I don't know, healing hands. You'd look just as intimidating, but now you're out there saving lives instead of ending them. The galaxy would love you for it. Darth Sidious, savior of the stars. It has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Let's face it, deep down, you know the dark side's not as rewarding as it pretends to be. The anger, the betrayal, it never ends well. But the light, that's where real peace is. I mean, do you see Obi-Wan stressed out? No, the guy's practically glowing with peace, even in a desert. You could have that too, Sidious. No more plotting, no more backstabbing apprentices, just peace, and maybe a little gardening on Naboo. I hear it's lovely this time of year. You're on the brink, Sidious. One step toward the light and everything changes. You might even smile again. I haven't seen you do that since, well, ever, really. Give it a try. Redemption is always on the table. It's not too late to say, you know what? Maybe blowing up Alderaan wasn't my best moment. Let's do better. I'm here for you, Sidious. The galaxy is too. And for those watching, if you're as excited as I am to see Sidious on his journey to redemption, hit that subscribe button and drop a like, because every thumbs up is a step toward a better galaxy. May the light be with you always. All right, Sidious, let's reflect on all this. You've built an empire, crushed entire star systems, and somehow kept that same hooded look for decades. Props for consistency, by the way. But it's time to think long-term here. What's your legacy going to be? Sure, the history books will remember you as the big bad emperor, but imagine being remembered as the guy who changed the galaxy for the better. Darth Sidious, the one who turned the empire into a force of good. Instead of ruling with an iron fist, you could start ruling with a kind heart. It's not as flashy, but I promise it'll feel a whole lot better. Just think about it. Instead of ordering stormtroopers to wipe out civilizations, you could send them to help rebuild them. Sidious, the galactic humanitarian. Imagine the headlines. You'll be doing charity events on Coruscant, giving inspirational speeches to younglings across the galaxy. Heck, even the Wookiees might forgive you, and they never forget. But here's the deal. Redemption doesn't come from sitting on your throne and waiting for a better galaxy. You've got to choose it, Sidious. It's not too late to be the guy who decided, you know what? I've thrown enough lightning for one lifetime. Time to spread a little sunshine. That's the beautiful thing about the light. It's always there, waiting for you to step into it. The darkness? It's overrated. Trust me, I've seen enough galaxies to know. Oh, and to everyone still watching, if you're as curious as I am to see how Sidious's redemption arc turns out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Drop a like too, because every time you do, the dark side loses just a little more power. Thanks for watching, and remember, there's always a light waiting for you, even in the darkest places.